Hi guys, my name's Natalia and welcome back to my channel. Today I come to you with a January wrap-up. It was an exceptionally good reading month. I don't know how it happened. There were a lot of 5-star reads, and in general I enjoyed all the books I read this month. So, I'm really happy. It's a very good beginning of the year. So I read 5 books in total. So right off the bat, let's get into the first book, and that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I did end up giving it 5 stars. Honestly, I have no idea why it took me so long to pick up this book, because it's simply one of the best books I've ever read. From the moment I picked it up, I was so hooked. The world building is very unique and very immersive. It feels so whimsical and magical and mysterious in the best way possible. It is set in the same world as the Caraval series by the same author, but we follow different characters. And as much as I loved Caraval, I'm going to admit that Once Upon a Broken Heart is even better. Like, the characters are just a little more interesting, I guess. And I think the storyline is a lot more intense and just not as confusing as Caraval. I feel like the plot for Caraval, it was really wild and it really was hard to tell what's real and what's not. So I feel like this plot is a little less confusing and much more fun to read about. So in case you don't know what this series is about, I will recap it quickly for you. In this book series, we follow a girl named Evangeline who makes a deal with a fate, and fates are these demigods that ruled the world like centuries ago, and they began to wake up recently. So anyway, she makes a deal with this fate to kind of save her relationship with the love of her life, but she will soon realize that making deals with fates is very tricky. Jax is definitely the highlight of the book. Jax is like this, I guess you could say, villain in this book. He's like so unpredictable and morally ambiguous and just like so fun to read about. I love his witty remarks. And honestly, I just love Jax, okay? And the tension between him and Evangeline, the main character, is off the charts. It's crazy. Like, every interaction they have is full of intensity, and when he calls her Little Fox, it melts my heart. So another aspect of this book that really stands out is that there is this constant tension in the air, and there's this sense of uncertainty, and it makes really hard to trust any of the characters. Like, I was literally questioning everyone. I thought everyone had some like hidden motives. I think it just really added to the thrill of the book and this like uncertainty. It was really, really addictive. I also think the pacing of the book is perfect. It's never too slow and it always keeps you engaged. I was not bored at all while reading it. Honestly, I just think this book is so fresh and exciting, and it's Stephanie's best book series. I know she's coming up with a new book this year, and as much as I'm excited, I'm not sure if I can beat this series. So actually, after finishing Once Upon a Broken Heart, I went straight into the second book in the series, which is the Ballad of Never After. It wasn't originally on my January TBR, but I was so invested in the story, I picked it up immediately. And this one also received 5 stars from me, although I would say it is a little better than the first book, but they both are good enough to receive 5 stars in my opinion. But this one was even more intense and even more interesting. Just like in the first book, the world building is absolutely gorgeous and magical, and I just got lost in this whimsical world all over again. Once again, the pacing was perfect. It was quite fast, full of surprises, and an ending that really left me needing the next book. I have not read the third book yet, but I will definitely read it in February. So stay tuned for my review of the last book in this trilogy. But yeah, The Ballad of Never After, such a good magical story with really interesting characters, with really intense and beautiful love story. Honestly, Jax, he's going to be the death of me. Okay, one of the quotes, he said a lot of great quotes, but this one just like lives in my head rent free. In the morning, you can forget it. You can go back to pretending you don't like me, and I can pretend that I don't care. But for tonight, let me pretend you're mine. I'll just leave it there. If this quote doesn't convince you to read it, then I don't think anything else will. So, and now the next book that I read in January is All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third book in the Natural series, and I swear each book in this series just gets better and better. There's still one more left, and I'm going to read it in February probably. But this is the third book, and the characters have really grown on me, and following their journey has been such an intense emotional roller coaster. This book really focuses on Sloane, which I love her. She's one of my favorite characters. She's so like precious and quirky, and she's such a good friend in general, so I love Sloane. I absolutely love how this group of teenagers care for each other like family. The found family trope in this book is honestly so well written and so heartwarming, and it adds so much depth to the story. So in this series, we follow a group of teenagers that were recruited by the FBI due to their exceptional abilities, and they help FBI solve cold cases. So it's a very fast-paced, very intense read, but it's just so much fun. This third book, it was probably the best one in the series. It was so intense, full of plot twists that I could never predict. And just when I thought I couldn't love Dean anymore, I fell for him even more in this book, with the way he was always there for Cassie and he always had her back, and just their relationship is so sweet. I love them together so much, and I love Dean. So I am loving this series so much, and as much as I don't want to part with these characters, I do want to read the last book. So stay tuned for my final review of the entire series, I guess. Okay, the next book I read, it's a very unexpected 5-star read to me, honestly. The book is called House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. First of all, I picked it up because of its gorgeous cover and the promise of like a strange, eerie mystery, and this book did not disappoint. It is a YA horror with fantasy elements in it. And in this book, we follow Hollow sisters. So there are 3 sisters, and they had this strange thing happen to them when they were young. They literally disappeared out of nowhere. Like they were out with their parents, and their parents turned around for like a few seconds, and suddenly all 3 of the girls were gone. But they were miraculously found a month later. But the trick is that they don't remember what happened to them. And also there's like this like strangeness, this weirdness following them, I guess. Like weird things are kind of happening, or they have abilities to do things like convincing people to do certain things. So there's like this strange aura around them. And one day, one of the sisters actually goes missing, and the other 2 start to investigate her disappearance. And they will slowly start to uncover the truth of what had happened when they were children. And honestly, it's so shocking. Like, the ending was so jaw-dropping and surprising. The atmosphere in this book is so haunting, and there were some like really creepy moments that literally had me looking over my shoulder because I was so creeped out. The characters and their backstories were so intriguing, and I just couldn't stop turning the pages. I was so invested in this story. And when all the pieces finally clicked into place, I was really shocked. Like, the twists were really clever. It was also a very well-paced story. It didn't feel too slow or anything like that. And definitely one thing I appreciated was that the author made it so scary and chilling without relying on like excessive gore. It could be due to the fact that it is a YA book after all, so it cannot be like super graphic. But I definitely don't like when books are like too graphic. So I appreciate that it's not. Like, there are obviously some very creepy scenes, and there's a lot of talk about like decaying bodies and all of that. So it is definitely quite creepy and disturbing, but it doesn't have like super unnecessary gore. So if you're in a mood for something dark, atmospheric, and really gripping, then I think you should check out this book because I loved it so much. And last but not least, we've got Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And I know I'm kind of late to the party because the third book in this series has recently come out and literally everyone is reading this book right now, so I am kind of late. But I decided to finally pick up this book, and it was kind of hard for me to rate it. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. I know it's very specific, but I just felt like 4 stars is a bit too generous, but then 3.5 stars maybe is a bit too harsh. So 3.75 is what I settled on. So let's talk about my thoughts on this book. First of all, the world building was definitely ambitious, but I felt that at times it was a little confusing and overwhelming with too many like details and characters, and all the characters have their own dragons, and these dragons also have names. Like, it just gets so complicated at a certain point. So I definitely was confused at times. I liked Violet's strength and resilience and her empathy. I definitely liked her character, but it was exhausting to be in her head all the time, especially every time she looked at Zayden. Like, her reactions to him were a bit over the top. Like, I get it, he's hot, but like, why were they acting like some feral animals around each other? I don't understand it. I did enjoy the plot of the book, but I still think that this book is a little overhyped. I don't think the writing style was that great, and the dialogue felt a bit too modern for the setting of the book, and I just felt like it was a bit too long in general. Like, some of the scenes definitely could have been either shortened or cut out entirely to make this book shorter, because at some point I was like really thinking that I would not make it till the end. The highlight of this book were definitely the dragons. I loved how each of the dragons had their own quirks and like unique personality. The whole dragon rider bonding system was really fascinating to learn about, and I really liked it. I also liked all these different friendships that were formed in this book. I think they really brought a lot of warmth to this otherwise really intense story. The ending was quite shocking, and I will definitely continue this series, but definitely not right away. Like, I think I need some palette cleanser after finishing this because I feel a little bit overwhelmed. So I will continue it, but I'm not sure when that will happen. So overall, I think it was a fun an intriguing read with incredible dragons, but I don't think it really lives up to the hype because like it was really really hyped up and I thought it could be another 5-star read, but it just didn't do that for me. Like I liked it. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but there were some parts that I definitely didn't like. And in case you didn't know what this book is about, we follow a character named Violet. She was supposed to become a scribe, but she was forced by her mother to enter a rider's quadrant. She now basically has to train to become a dragon rider, but this quadrant is like really intense and the people are dying all the time there. It's very demanding. Okay, so that was the last book that I read in January. Like I said, it was a very good reading month for me, and I really enjoyed all of these books. I gave 5 stars to 4 of the books. Let's hope that my February reads will be good as well. And that's it for this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.